Imagine staring at a perfectly good bridge, safe, functional, yet it never crosses the chasm to extraordinary. Here's the myth. You believe greatness is achieved by overcoming badness. The truth? Good is the true enemy of great. Most organizations aren't bad, they're just content. Overlook this, and your deepest potential will remain forever good enough. Level 5 Leadership. Welcome to Audiobook Bites, where we distill the wisdom from the world's most impactful books. Today, we're diving into Jim Collins's groundbreaking work, Good to Great, and shining a light on its most surprising discovery, Level 5 Leadership. Forget the image of the charismatic, larger-than-life leader who rides in like a superhero. Collins found the exact opposite. In fact, and here's a golden quote directly from the research, larger-than-life celebrity leaders who ride in from the outside are negatively correlated with taking a company from good to great. Instead, the good to great transformations were led by a paradoxical blend of extreme personal humility and intense professional will, what Collins calls Level 5 leaders. Imagine Darwin Smith, a mild-mannered in-house lawyer who became CEO of Kimberly-Clark in 1971. His company's stock had slumped for 2 decades. The board wasn't even sure they'd made the right choice, with one director openly questioning his qualifications. Smith was quiet, reserved, almost shy. He preferred rumbling around his Wisconsin farm in a backhoe to cultivating a hero status. Here's the catch. If you mistook his modesty for weakness, you were terribly mistaken. Smith possessed an almost stoic resolve. 2 months into his CEO role, he was diagnosed with nose and throat cancer, given less than a year to live. He informed the board, made it clear he wasn't dead yet, and lived another 25 years, mostly as CEO. His quiet determination was formidable. He made the gutsiest decision in the company's history, selling off Kimberly-Clark's traditional paper mills, the very core of their business, to invest everything in consumer products like Huggies and Kleenex. Wall Street analysts called it stupid, downgrading the stock. But Smith never wavered. This wasn't about him. It was about building something great that would endure beyond him. This is the essence of Level 5 leadership, a leadership style that prioritizes company success over personal ego. These leaders channel their ambition not into themselves, but into the organization, ensuring its enduring greatness. They set up their successors for even greater success, a stark contrast to many charismatic leaders who, consciously or unconsciously, leave a void after they depart. But, therefore, many comparison companies tried the genius with 1,000 helpers model, where a brilliant but ego-driven leader sets a vision, but fails to build an enduring team or instill a self-sustaining culture. Therefore, the company often collapses after their departure. Level 5 leaders, however, demonstrate a fierce resolve to do whatever is necessary for long-term results, coupled with that quiet, modest demeanor. They don't seek personal adulation, they seek enduring results. They look out the window to credit external factors for success, and in the mirror to take responsibility for failure. You might be thinking, can this leadership style really be cultivated, or is it innate? Collins suggests that while some individuals may have a stronger innate potential, practicing the other good to great disciplines, like getting the right people on the bus and confronting brutal facts, can help leaders evolve towards Level 5. Imagine waking up tomorrow and everyone in your organization, from the executive suite to the front lines, was driven by this powerful, humble resolve. What kind of unstoppable momentum would that create? The bottom line? Enduring greatness is built not on the shoulders of dazzling saviors, but on the quiet, fierce will of leaders who put the company's success above all else. 2. First who, then what? Welcome back to Audiobook Bites, where we distill the profound wisdom from the world's most impactful books. Today, we're diving deep into Jim Collins's groundbreaking work, Good to Great. Specifically the pivotal insight, first who, then what. Collins's research uncovers a counterintuitive truth. Truly great companies don't start with a new vision or strategy. They start with people. Imagine a bus. The good to great leaders didn't first decide where the bus was going and then get people to take it there. No, they prioritized getting the right people on the bus, getting the wrong people off, and getting the right people into the right seats. Then, and only then, did they figure out where to drive it. They understood 3 critical truths. First, with the right people, a company can adapt to a changing world far more effectively. If your team is on the bus because of where it's going, a change in direction can cause a mutiny. But if they're on the bus because of who else is on it, adapting becomes a shared adventure. Second, the problem of motivation and management largely disappears. The right people don't need to be tightly managed or constantly fired up. They are self-motivated by an inner drive to create something great. Here's the catch. The wrong people, even with a brilliant vision, will always hold you back. Third, a great vision is absolutely irrelevant without great people to execute it. Take Wells Fargo, for example. In the early 1970s, facing massive uncertainty in the banking industry, CEO Dick Cooley didn't map out a grand strategy. Instead, he relentlessly focused on injecting an endless stream of talent directly into the company. He hired outstanding individuals whenever and wherever he found them, often without specific roles in mind. He trusted that if he had the best people, they would figure out the future, adapt to changes, and lead the way. And he was right. Wells Fargo dramatically outperformed its competitors, even technology titans like Intel and Coca-Cola, because it built a team of A players who were capable of becoming CEOs of major companies themselves. But here's why it's so difficult. Getting the right people on the bus also means rigorously removing the wrong ones. This isn't about ruthlessness, it's about rigor. It's about applying exacting standards consistently at all levels. You might be thinking, this sounds harsh, but Collins argues that holding on to the wrong people is actually unfair to the right ones, burdening them with extra weight and eventually driving away top talent. Furthermore, it's unfair to the wrong people themselves, robbing them of the chance to find a place where they can excel. Wells Fargo exemplified this rigor during an acquisition, shedding managers who didn't fit their performance culture, even sending some of their own packing if Crocker managers were better qualified. The good to great leaders focused on character attributes first, believing skills could be taught. They understood that you can teach a farmer how to make steel, but you can't teach a farmer work ethic. They had an unwavering resolve to do whatever was needed to make the company great, even if it meant making tough personnel decisions. This focus on internal, humble leaders is a distinguishing trait. Remember that old advice to bring in charismatic, larger-than-life external CEOs to fix problems? Collins's research tells us larger-than-life celebrity leaders who ride in from the outside are negatively correlated with taking a company from good to great. The real heroes are often the quiet, self-effacing individuals who build greatness from within. The bottom line: who you put on the bus matters more than where you decide to drive it.
Faith and facts in equal measure. We often marvel at individuals and organizations that defy the odds, those who not only survive unthinkable adversity, but emerge stronger, transformed. But what's their secret? What psychological alchemy allows them to face down seemingly impossible challenges and still prevail? The answer lies in a profound, almost counterintuitive concept, especially when we remember that, as Jim Collins reminds us, good is the enemy of great. The vast majority of companies, much like individuals, settle for good, never pushing through the brutal truths required to reach genuine greatness. Our journey into great companies led us to this crucial concept, inspired by the harrowing experience of Admiral Jim Stockdale. As the highest-ranking American prisoner of war in the infamous Hanoi Hilton during the Vietnam War, Stockdale endured 8 years of torture, isolation, and uncertainty. There was no set release date, no assurance he'd ever see his family again. He lived out the war without any prisoner's rights, but he led. He devised communication systems and morale-boosting rules for his fellow captives. Years later, reflecting on his ordeal, Stockdale was asked who didn't make it out. His answer was chilling. The optimists. Oh, they were the ones who said, "We're going to be out by Christmas," and Christmas would come and Christmas would go. Then they'd say, "We're going to be out by Easter," and Easter would come and Easter would go. And then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again. And they died of a broken heart. Here's the catch. Stockdale himself never lost faith that he would ultimately prevail. He just never deluded himself about the current reality. This is the essence of what we call the Stockdale paradox. You must maintain unwavering faith that you can and will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties, and at the same time have the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be.
It's a powerful duality, ultimate faith paired with brutal realism. Good to great companies, we discovered, embodied this same paradox. They weren't born with great DNA, nor did they magically stumble into perfect conditions. They faced their own versions of immense adversity: fierce industry competition, massive market shifts, product recalls, deregulation, or even looming bankruptcy. But their response was distinct. While lesser companies spiraled into the doom loop of lurching from fad to fad, driven by fear and false hope, the good to great companies stoically accepted their brutal facts. Consider Kroger in the 1960s. For decades, it was an unspectacular grocery chain, often overshadowed by the industry giant A&P. But as consumer tastes changed, demanding superstores with more variety and convenience, A&P clung to its old model, its leadership trapped in the past. They even shut down successful experimental stores that showed them the future, simply because the answers didn't fit their preconceived notions. This refusal to confront reality led to their decline. Kroger, however, confronted these brutal facts head-on. Their executive team reached an inescapable conclusion: the old model grocery store was dying. They embraced the painful truth that they needed to transform their entire system. They didn't pretend it would be easy or quick, but they held an unwavering faith that they could become the #1 grocery chain by committing to this transformation. This meant systematically replacing every single store and departing regions that didn't fit the new superstore concept. This methodical, often difficult, confrontation of reality, paired with their ultimate belief in their success, allowed Kroger to generate cumulative returns 10 times the market, while A&P dwindled. So how do great leaders cultivate this climate where difficult truths are heard and confronted without blame?
It's not about being a charismatic visionary proclaiming a new direction. It's about building a culture where reality trumps ego. First, they lead with questions, not answers. Instead of walking in with a fixed solution, they probe and inquire, pushing their teams to articulate the facts and their implications. They ask, "Can you help me understand? What should we be worried about? Why? This Socratic style fosters genuine understanding, not just agreement. Second, they engage in vigorous debate, not coercion. Good to great teams embrace conflict, arguing passionately for what they believe is the right course of action, not what aligns with personal agendas. These aren't polite discussions. They're often loud, table-pounding debates where different perspectives are thrashed out, ensuring all brutal facts are on the table. But these debates always unified behind a decision, therefore ensuring collective commitment once a path was chosen. And third, they conduct autopsies without blame. When mistakes happen, they don't point fingers. Instead, they meticulously dissect what went wrong, extracting every possible lesson. Joseph Coleman, the Level 5 CEO of Philip Morris, famously dedicated 5 pages in his autobiography to a failed acquisition, openly discussing the flaws without blaming anyone but himself. This process of learning from failures, rather than sweeping them under the rug, is crucial. It's about collective learning and relentless self-improvement. You might be thinking, isn't this just about being motivated? But Collins argues that spending energy trying to motivate people is largely a waste of time. Therefore, the real question is how not to demotivate them. Ignoring brutal facts, holding out false hopes, or fostering a culture of fear where bad news is suppressed, these are the surest ways to extinguish intrinsic motivation. The good to great leaders understood that enduring performance requires both a deep, abiding faith in ultimate success and the relentless discipline to face whatever ugly realities stand in the way. It's about seeing the world not as you wish it to be, but as it actually is, and then acting on that truth with an unshakable belief in your capacity to overcome. The bottom line, greatness is not forged in the absence of adversity, but in the unwavering faith to prevail, combined with the relentless discipline to confront every brutal fact. 4. Simplicity within 3 circles. The world, Collins discovered, is divided into 2 types of creatures, foxes and hedgehogs. The fox knows many things, darting from strategy to strategy, trying to catch its prey. But the hedgehog knows one big thing. When attacked, it simply rolls into a ball, presenting an impenetrable defense, and the hedgehog always wins. This isn't just a charming fable, it's a profound metaphor for organizational greatness.
Collins found that good to great companies operate like hedgehogs. They didn't chase every shiny new opportunity or complex strategy. Instead, they simplified their complex world into a single crystalline concept, their Hedgehog Concept. This isn't a goal, it's a deep, almost visceral understanding, born from the intersection of three fundamental questions. First, what can your organization be the best in the world at? Here's the catch. It's not about what you want to be best at, or even what you have a core competence in. It's about brutally honest self-assessment. Abbott Labs, for example, realized they couldn't be the world's best pharmaceutical company because competitors had a massive head start. So they shifted their focus to creating products that contribute to cost-effective healthcare, something they could be the best at. This requires facing uncomfortable truths. You might be thinking, but isn't just being good enough? Collins challenges this directly, stating, good is the enemy of great. The vast majority of companies never become great, precisely because the vast majority become quite good, and that is their main problem. Second, what drives your economic engine? Good to great companies figured out their single economic denominator, the key metric that, if consistently improved, would have the greatest impact on profitability and cash flow. For Walgreens, it wasn't profit per store, but profit per customer visit. This insight led them to systematically cluster convenient drugstores, even closing profitable older ones if a better, higher-traffic corner location opened just blocks away. This fanatical consistency transformed their business. Third, what are you deeply passionate about? This isn't about conjuring fake enthusiasm. It's about discovering what truly ignites your people. For Philip Morris, despite the controversial product, their executives were genuinely passionate about building global brands in not-so-healthy consumables and protecting consumers' right to smoke. This deep shared passion, even for an ethically complex business, was a crucial ingredient. These three circles, what you can be the best at, what drives your economic engine, and what you are deeply passionate about, aren't separate strategies, they converge. The Hedgehog Concept emerges from the intersection, clarifying your true path to greatness. Therefore, companies that diligently pursue this clarity, even when it's slow and difficult, are the ones that ultimately leap from good to great. Imagine waking up tomorrow and knowing, with absolute clarity, that one singular focus will propel your organization to extraordinary sustained success. That's the power of the Hedgehog Concept. If you're seeking profound insights to simplify your strategic challenges and drive your organization forward, keep listening to Audiobook Bites. Subscribe now to unlock more timeless wisdom from the world's greatest business thinkers. The bottom line: true greatness is not found in chasing complexity or fleeting trends, but in the disciplined pursuit of a deeply understood singular purpose.
Freedom and responsibility. Growth. It's what every company strives for, right? But ironically, rampant growth often breeds the very thing that stifles greatness: bureaucracy. As Jim Collins famously states, good is the enemy of great. And this bureaucratic drift is one of the key reasons why so few good companies ever make the leap to greatness. Here's the insidious part. Bureaucracy often arises to compensate for incompetence and a lack of discipline. Most companies, when they hit a certain size, instinctively pile on controls, creating a suffocating environment that drives away the very entrepreneurial spirit that fueled their initial success. But the good to great companies flipped the script entirely. They understood that true discipline isn't about tyrannical control. It's about building a culture where self-disciplined people thrive within a clear, rigorous framework. Consider Abbott Laboratories. When they needed to instill financial discipline without killing innovation, they didn't layer on more oversight. Instead, they invented something called responsibility accounting. Every manager, regardless of their role, became responsible for their division's return on investment, just like an entrepreneur. It was a rigorous system, yes, but within that framework, people had immense freedom to figure out how to generate those returns. They were held accountable for results, not micromanaged on methods. This powerful alchemy of discipline, combined with an ethic of entrepreneurship, produced magical results, driving down administrative costs while skyrocketing new product innovation. The secret, it's not about having more controls, but better ones applied to the right people. This means instilling discipline in people first, then in thought, and finally in action, all within the context of your Hedgehog Concept.
And this leads to one of the most powerful tools discovered in our research, the stop doing list. Most of us are obsessed with to-do lists, constantly adding more. But for many companies, traditional budgeting dictates how much to fund activities, often leading to diluted efforts across too many fronts. Therefore, great leaders like Darwin Smith at Kimberly-Clark understood that focusing on what to stop doing was just as critical. He realized that getting caught up in Wall Street's annual earnings forecasts was a distraction that pulled people's focus to the short term. So he simply stopped doing it. No more endless debates. It didn't fit their hedgehog concept, so it was eliminated. You might be thinking, but doesn't all this discipline stifle creativity and freedom? The truth is, it's the opposite. Imagine an airline pilot. She operates within an incredibly strict framework of safety procedures, air traffic control instructions, and pre-flight checklists. Yet, within those boundaries, she has ultimate responsibility and freedom to make crucial decisions, especially when things go awry. She must adhere to the system, but her expertise and judgment are paramount. Great companies operate similarly. Discipline provides the freedom. The bottom line: true freedom and sustained greatness don't come from a lack of structure, but from a deeply ingrained culture of self-discipline, consistently applied to a clear hedgehog concept, and courageously letting go of anything that doesn't fit.
6. Technology as an accelerator, not a creator. Welcome back to Audiobook Bites, where we distill powerful insights from groundbreaking books. Today, we're diving into Jim Collins' Good to Great, specifically the chapter that redefines technology's true role in building enduring greatness. Technology as an accelerator, not a creator. Now, in our fast-paced world, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that the latest gadget or software is the silver bullet for success. We're bombarded with stories of companies that supposedly innovated their way to the top. You might be thinking, surely embracing cutting-edge tech first is how you win, right? Here's the catch. Collins' extensive research revealed a startling truth. He found that technology and technology-driven change has virtually nothing to do with igniting a transformation from good to great. Technology can accelerate a transformation, but technology cannot cause a transformation. Think about Walgreens. For decades, it was just an average drugstore chain, bumping along with the general market. Then, in 1975, something shifted. Walgreens started its methodical ascent to greatness, eventually outperforming tech giants like Intel and General Electric by vast margins. What was their secret? It wasn't a sudden technological breakthrough that sparked their transformation. Instead, Walgreens first clarified its hedgehog concept: the best, most convenient drugstores with high profit per customer visit. Then and only then did they systematically apply technology as a powerful accelerator. They pioneered sophisticated network systems like Intercom, linking all stores electronically to make any Walgreens your local pharmacy, anywhere. They embraced scanning technology, not just as a novelty, but as a way to streamline their cash flow cycle and fund their expansion into super convenient locations. This was a crawl, walk, run approach. They experimented with a web presence, carefully integrating it into their convenience concept, always asking, how does the internet connect to our convenience concept? How does it boost our profit per customer visit? They didn't lurch into it out of fear, but with calm, deliberate understanding. Compare this to the dot-com frenzy of the late 90s, when many companies, like drugstore.com, leaped into the new economy with massive hype and ambition. They were all about being first, fast, and building market share at any cost. But this often meant chasing technology for technology's sake, without a clear hedgehog concept, and therefore many burned out just as quickly as they rose. Walgreens, in contrast, patiently waited, then leveraged the internet to enhance its already strong foundation, leaving drugstore.com in the dust. The wisdom here is profound. Don't adopt new technologies out of fear or hype. Instead, carefully select those that directly fit and accelerate your core hedgehog concept. Be a pioneer in the application of these relevant technologies, weaving them into a consistent system that builds momentum turn by turn like a giant flywheel. Technology is a magnificent servant, but a terrible master. The bottom line: true greatness isn't about what technology you have, but how thoughtfully and disciplined you apply it to what you are truly built to be the best at. If you want to keep discovering these timeless principles to build something truly great in your own life or organization, make sure to subscribe to Audiobook Bites so you don't miss our next deep dive into the essence of enduring success.
7.
Building unstoppable momentum. Imagine a giant, heavy flywheel, 30 feet in diameter, 2 feet thick, weighing 5,000 pounds. Your task, to get it rotating as fast and long as possible. You push with all your might. It inches forward, barely. You push for hours, days, weeks. Slowly, imperceptibly, it completes one turn, then another, and another. Each turn builds on the last, adding momentum, until one day, whoosh, the flywheel is hurtling forward, its own heavy weight working for you. This, according to Jim Collins, is the essence of the flywheel effect in his groundbreaking book, Good to Great. It's the cumulative process by which good to great companies transform, not through a single defining action or a sudden dramatic program, but through a series of good decisions, diligently executed and accumulated one on top of another. Here's the catch. The comparison companies, caught in what Collins calls the doom loop, did the exact opposite. They'd lurch from one failed program to another, constantly searching for a miracle moment to skip the hard work of building momentum. They'd launch grand initiatives with fanfare, then abandon them when results didn't instantly appear. But these abrupt shifts and desperate leaps only drained energy, creating frustrating cycles of disappointment. Consider Kroger, the grocery giant. Faced with the brutal fact that old model stores were dying, they didn't launch a single grand transformation project. Instead, CBO Lyle Everingham and his team systematically overhauled their entire system, store by store, city by city, to create superstores. It was a painstaking 20-year process, but it built unstoppable momentum. Or Nucor, the steel company, which didn't achieve greatness through one big innovation, but by consistently refining its unique blend of high productivity culture and advanced mini-mill technology, one turn of the flywheel at a time. You might be thinking, what about the big flashy stuff, like cutting-edge technology or game-changing acquisitions? Collins' research reveals a surprising truth. He found that technology and technology-driven change has virtually nothing to do with igniting a transformation from good to great. Technology can accelerate a transformation, but technology cannot cause a transformation. Likewise, when comparison companies tried to fast-track their way to greatness, their efforts often backfired. Collins noted, mergers and acquisitions play virtually no role in igniting a transformation from good to great. Two big mediocrities joined together never make one great company. The good to great companies did make acquisitions and use technology, but only after they had established their flywheel, using them as accelerators, not primary drivers. Imagine a future where your efforts, once scattered and seemingly ineffectual, begin to compound, where small, consistent pushes build into an unstoppable force that propels your organization forward. It won't be instant, it won't be easy, but it will be enduring. The bottom line, true greatness isn't born in a single leap, but forged in the relentless, disciplined turns of a well-oiled flywheel. 8. The journey to enduring icon. We've spent a lot of time charting the journey from good to great. But here's the pivotal question. Once you've made that leap, how do you stay great? How do you transform sustained, exceptional performance into an enduring, iconic company that lasts for generations? This is the crucial bridge from good to great to Jim Collins' earlier foundational work, Built to Last. Collins positions good to great as a prequel. While good to great gives you the roadmap to make that initial dramatic ascent from merely good to truly great, Built to Last provides the blueprint for building an institution so robust, so deeply rooted, that it becomes a timeless, visionary company. Think of it this way. Good to Great helps you conquer the peak, and Built to Last teaches you how to build a self-sustaining city at the summit, ensuring your legacy endures for centuries. The first critical step on this enduring journey, after achieving sustained great results, is to identify and instill a core ideology. This isn't just a mission statement tacked onto a wall, it's the unchanging soul of your organization.
its core values and its fundamental purpose that remains fixed and inspires people beyond just making money. Consider Hewlett-Packard. Founders Bill Hewlett and David Packard famously started not with what to build, but who to build it with and why. Their core ideology, deeply embedded in technical contribution, respect for individuals, and community responsibility, was the bedrock. It's what allowed them to evolve from making jiggle machines to personal computers, always remaining true to something deeper than their current products. But here's the catch. Enduring greatness isn't about being static. It's about embracing a powerful duality: preserve the core and stimulate progress. You keep your core ideology fixed, unchanging, like the North Star guiding a ship. But everything else, your strategies, your practices, your products, your technologies, that's all up for continuous, often radical change and improvement. It's a dynamic tension. Imagine Walmart. Sam Walton didn't just stumble onto overnight success. His company built up incrementally, turn by turn of the flywheel, consistently applying the good to great principles in its early years. But to become an enduring great company, Walmart had to preserve its core purpose of helping people save money while relentlessly stimulating progress in its retail models, its supply chain technologies, and even its store formats. You might be thinking, isn't this just a cycle of endless change leading to chaos? But that's precisely where the discipline of preserving the core comes in. Without a fixed ideology, all that stimulating progress just becomes a doom loop of lurching from fad to fad, constantly chasing the next shiny object. Remember, mergers and acquisitions play virtually no role in igniting a transformation from good to great. Two big mediocrities joined together never make one great company. That's a perfect example of trying to stimulate progress through external means without a clear internal core to guide decisions, inevitably leading to instability and eventual decline. So imagine your organization has achieved those breakthrough results. Now picture it a century from now. What are the timeless values, the fundamental reason for its existence that will still hold true? What are the changing strategies and practices that will allow it to adapt and thrive through countless technological shifts and market disruptions? Enduring greatness demands this long-term vision, this unwavering adherence to a deep-seated identity, paired with an insatiable drive for progress.
The bottom line, good to great shows you how to climb the mountain, but built to last teaches you how to build a self-sustaining ecosystem at the summit, ensuring your company remains a beacon of excellence long after you've moved on. If you want to build something that truly endures, a company that transcends generations and becomes iconic, then subscribe to Audiobook Bites so you don't miss our deep dive into Built to Last next week. Timeless principles for any endeavor. We often hear about business strategies, profit margins, and market share. But what if the profound insights from Jim Collins's Good to Great aren't just boardroom secrets? What if they are, as Collins suggests, the timeless physics of organized human performance, applicable to any endeavor, any organization, or even your personal life? You might be thinking, I'm not running a Fortune 500 company. How does level 5 leadership or a Hedgehog Concept apply to my nonprofit, my school, or even my family? Here's the core insight. The quest for greatness isn't exclusive to the corporate world. The principles Collins uncovered are universal truths about how to achieve sustained, superior performance. Consider the inspiring story of a high school cross-country coach. This isn't about profit or market share, but about building a championship team. The coach, a level 5 leader in their own right, didn't start with a grand vision of winning state. Instead, they focused on first who, getting the right kids on the team, those with an innate work ethic and dedication, not just raw talent. They understood that if they had the right people, they'd figure out the what together. This coach also had a hedgehog concept for their team. We run best at the end. This simple, crystalline idea wasn't a complex strategy, but a deep understanding of what they could truly be the best at, out-finishing every other team. Therefore, every training session, every race strategy was geared towards this single, focused idea. It wasn't about being the fastest overall, but about maximizing their performance when it counted most. And the culture of discipline? It wasn't about tyrannical rules from the coach. It was self-discipline among the athletes, fueled by their shared commitment to the hedgehog concept. They'd track place splits in races, not just time,
fostering an intense internal drive to improve, to make sure they weren't letting their teammates down. This cultivated an environment where individuals took extreme ownership, knowing that good is the enemy of great. The flywheel effect in action. Each small success, each race where they executed their run best at the end strategy, built momentum. The kids started believing, hey, we can win state. This wasn't a sudden revolutionary breakthrough, but a cumulative process, turn by turn until the momentum became unstoppable. Imagine waking up tomorrow and applying this relentless focus to your personal goal, whether it's learning a new skill, contributing to your community, or simply improving your daily routine. What sustained greatness could you build? Ultimately, Collins argues that the good to great transformation is a human problem, not just a business one. The vast majority of companies never become great, precisely because the vast majority become quite good, and that is their main problem. This applies to individuals and nonprofits too. The real question isn't why greatness, but what work makes you feel compelled to try to create greatness. It's about finding that intersection of what you're passionate about, what you can be the best at, and what drives your personal economic engine, whether that's financial, emotional, or impact-driven. The bottom line, true greatness is not about external circumstances or flashy initiatives, but a conscious choice, a deep commitment to disciplined thought and action, driven by an unwavering passion for making a meaningful contribution in whatever endeavor you choose. If you want to unlock more profound insights into building enduring excellence in your life and work, subscribe to Audiobook Bites. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into the wisdom that transforms good into great.
10. Who is this not for? The pursuit of greatness isn't for everyone. Jim Collins makes this abundantly clear. Many companies, and indeed many individuals, find themselves stuck in the realm of good. As Collins states, good is the enemy of great. The real question then is not how to achieve greatness, but who is truly prepared for that journey. It starts with an honest assessment of your ambition. Are you driven by the spotlight, personal accolades, wealth, or power? Or is your deepest ambition reserved for the organization itself, a burning desire to build something enduring, something greater than yourself? Collins' research shows that level 5 leaders, those who successfully transform companies, display a paradoxical blend of personal humility and professional will. They channel their ego into the company's success. Here's the catch. Larger-than-life celebrity leaders who ride in from the outside are negatively correlated with taking a company from good to great. They often prioritize their personal brand over sustained enterprise success. You might be thinking, but isn't some personal ambition necessary? Of course, but there's a crucial distinction. If your ambition is primarily for personal gain, you'll likely find the path to enduring greatness elusive. Therefore, true greatness is built by those so deeply passionate about the work itself and its positive impact that not making it the absolute best is unthinkable. This journey isn't a quick sprint, it's a disciplined marathon. Collins discovered that mergers and acquisitions play virtually no role in igniting a transformation from good to great. Two big mediocrities joined together never make one great company. This highlights the importance of internal, sustained effort. Greatness isn't achieved through a single dramatic move or a lucky break. Instead, it's a cumulative process, like relentlessly pushing a giant, heavy flywheel. Each turn builds momentum. It requires confronting brutal facts head-on, even when uncomfortable, and maintaining unwavering faith in ultimate success. Imagine building a magnificent cathedral. You don't just wave a magic wand. You lay each stone with precision, day after day, year after year, driven by a deep conviction in the final vision. This disciplined thought and action, combined with self-disciplined people, creates what Collins calls a culture of discipline. It's not bureaucracy, it's a fanatical adherence to a simple, clear concept. The journey to greatness demands a specific kind of individual and commitment. It's for those who care deeply about what they do, who are willing to face unvarnished reality, and who possess the sheer grit to consistently push that flywheel, turn upon turn, not for personal glory, but for the profound satisfaction of building something truly exceptional. The bottom line, greatness is not about being good with a few flashy moves. It's about a deep internal commitment to relentless, disciplined effort, driven by purpose greater than oneself.